Hello everybody, welcome. Today I'm going to talk about the flyweight pattern. So first I will talk about the intent of this pattern, then the motivation with an example of its use, then the application of this pattern. After that we will see the structure and we will finish by the code that we created. So for the intent, what is the intent of the flyweight pattern? So it is first to replace heavy objects with light objects, then to control the memory consumption, to use object sharing to manage a large number of objects, and it is used to create a very large quantity of objects. You will see that later. So I will begin with a short example of why we would like to use a flyweight pattern. So let's imagine that we are developers for a video game company and that we have to create the environment of our next game. In this environment there will be a big forest, as you can see, and this forest will be filled with tree objects, but a lot of tree objects. So all these trees have some common features like the bark or the leaves, and these properties that are common to all the trees is called the intrinsic state. Then a tree will have unique features that belong only to it, for example its size or its color, and these unique features proper to one unique tree is called the extrinsic state. So in order to create a forest, we will create a lot of tree objects that start with the same features, so the intrinsic state, but that will change according to its unique features, the extrinsic state. So now that we are all set, we will create a forest. So now all the objects that were created here, they have been created. So they have all different size and colors, and one object isn't the same as another one. But what happens now if we create the same object as this one? So in this case, the tree that we will create with the same characteristics as this one will be shared from the first one. And this is where the pattern is interesting, because it allows the creation of light objects and then it diminutes the memory consumption. So what we have to remember is that the intrinsic state is the state that is stored in the flyweight, and the informations are independent of the context and shared between all the objects. And we have the extrinsic state, and this state depends and varies from the flyweight context and cannot be shared. So the efficiency of the flyweight pattern depends on a lot on how and where it is used. So to use it, we have to have all these points true. So the application has a very large quantity of objects. The storage costs are high because of the quantity of objects. Many groups of objects can be replaced by few shared objects once the extrinsic state is removed. And the application does not depend on the identity of the object. First, we have the flyweight interface. So it declares an interface through which flyweights can receive and act on extrinsic states. Then we have the concrete flyweight. So it implements the flyweight interface and adds storage for intrinsic state. And a concrete flyweight object must be shareable. Any state it stores must be intrinsic, and it must be independent of the concrete flyweight object's context. Then we have the unshared concrete flyweight. I will not talk too much about it because I didn't use it in my Example. We have the flyweight factory, so it creates and manages flyweight objects, and it ensures that flyweights are shared properly. So when a client will request a flyweight, the flyweight factory will supply an existing instance of the object or create one if none exists. And at last we have the client that maintains a reference to flyweight and computes or stores the extrinsic state of the flyweight. Maybe it is a little bit confusing for you right now, but I hope you will better understand with the example of the code. So, here, this is an example about a car factory, if we want. So, we have the car interface that is equivalent to the flyweight. Then we have the big car, the normal car, and the small car classes. These are the concrete flyweights. And we have the car factory, which is the flyweight factory, and the client. So this is the flyweight interface called car. It has two methods in it, the method setColor and the method build. And these two methods will be overridden in the concrete flyweight. So here we have the concrete flyweight called big car that implements car, and it overrides its two methods, setColor and build, on the bottom of the class. It also has two attributes. So a string size, which is already determined as big because we are in the class big car, and this one is the intrinsic state that will be shared to all of the big car objects. And then we have a string color, which is set to null because it will be the role of the client to give us the information about the color. And this is the extrinsic state. Then we have the normal car. That's the same as the big car, but only the size change to normal. Then we have the small car, the same, but just the size changes to small. Now we have the flyweight factory called car factory. So this class has a private static final hash map of string, which is for the key, and with the car, which is for the object of car, like a big car, a normal car, or a small car. So thanks to this hash map, we will be able to see if the object we want to create already exists or not. So the car factory class implements three methods, one for each concrete flyweight. So we have the get big car, the get normal car, and the get small car. On this screen you only have the get big car, and that's the one I will explain. So all these methods are quite the same, and they all ask for a string argument, which is the color that will be added by the client. You will see that later, and it returns a car object. So let's take a look at this getBigCar method. So it works like this. We set a string called key, which is composed of the color, the argument of the method, and the size of the car, which in this case is big, because it's a getBigCar method. Then we check in the hash map if a car with this size and this color exists by using the key, and we put the result in a car object. So now, if the car object is different of null, it means that this object has already been created. So it means that the color, for example, black, and the size big, for example, is already in the hash map. It means that this car has already been created, so we return directly this car. So it's where the share will be done. Then if the car is null, so we are in the else, it means that it has never been created before, so we will create the object. So a big car, and we set the color with the argument that was added. And we add it to the hash map. So we can see for the next time an object like this will be created. If it's in the hash map, then it will return the share object. And then we return the car that was newly created. So this is how the car factory functions. Then we have the two other methods, get normal car and get small car. So only the size changes, so the key with normal and small. Now let's take a look at the client. Here we have created several objects. So we have created two big black cars. The first one was created because it didn't exist before, and the second one was shared because it already existed within the hash map. So we can see on the output on the right, I printed the hash map ID, and we can see that big black car 1 ID and big black car 2 ID have the same ID, so it means that the object is shared. Then I created three big red car. So the first one with the color red, the second one with the color red with 2D, and the last one with the color red again. So as we can see on the output, the big red car 1 and the big red car 3 have the same ID because it's a shared object, and the big red car 2 has a different ID. And at last, I created one small gray car and one normal gray car, so they both have the same color, but they come from a different concrete flyweight, so they will have a different ID, as you can see on the right side. So that's it for the flyweight pattern. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.